This is race analysis of Mud, Sweat, and Beers 300 in Traverse City, Michigan. Got to the starting line a little late, so got a bad position. Tried to sneak in on the side about mid-pack. Right off the line, I found myself about 15, almost 20 spots back, and I got the inside corner for this first turn, which I get pinched off, and probably 3 or 4 more riders get ahead of me. Coming up to the second turn, try to take the inside corner to the right, and once again get pinched off, almost going through the leaves and trees. Don't notice it during the race, but you can see up ahead there are 2 riders that got away, and they become the front 2 group, and they're probably at this point 10 if not 15 seconds ahead. So my goal over the next couple of minutes will be fighting for position and trying to pass some of these riders. Hard to see on the film, but a lot of these spots have deep sand that suck your wheel in. On this corner here, there's a soft shoulder, and I actually slide down this hill of sand. But able to continue, keep moving on. So this first bit, I'm just monitoring my effort and trying to pick my way through this bad starting position, get myself to the front of the group. I know there's some uphills over the next 5 to 10 minutes based on a video I seen from 2019 race, so that's the only thing I have to base this off of. So riding this course completely blind, I've never raced this race before. I have never been on this trail system, so that was definitely a disadvantage. So I'm just continuing to look for spots to pass without taking too much of a risk, because these shoulders of these trails are very soft, sandy, and not looking to put out too much effort this early on in the race, but trying to improve my position. Continuing to fight for position here. A couple of guys, we keep trading spots back and forth, and gaps open up and they close back up quickly. So this is pretty much worst case scenario here. I'm now stuck on single track without any spaces to move and pass people, and I imagine at this point I'm still 10 to 15 spots back, and it just becomes a long Congo train through the single track before it opened up again. Be able to pass one person here. And at this point, I don't know where the front of the race is, and I'm just thinking I'm getting caught further and further behind. And that's the detriment of a bad starting position. At this point, the race is starting to feel like recovery, and I'm just waiting for an opportunity where I need to pass a bunch of these riders. And here's my opportunity on a big open road. Just a quick drink, and then now I'm looking to pass this entire group. So past the majority of the riders, but still don't know where the front of the race is. Don't think this is the front, and I imagine there has to be a few more people up ahead. Didn't realize at the time, I thought this guy was just refusing to switch to an easier gear, but he was actually single speed. And I can see a neighborhood up ahead, and I realized from the video in 2019 that there'd be plenty of opportunity to try to make an attempt to reattach with the front of the race. Now we're all in a line, and we're looking to make a push to the front of the race. I look ahead, I don't see anybody. I still have to assume that there's several people ahead of the race, and this is the chase group. At this point, I see a couple people up ahead, and I'm not sure if that is the front of the race or if we're starting to catch people from the first wave. Because of COVID restrictions, we were sent off in 3 different waves of about 20-ish riders. So I don't know if we're picking up the back end of the first wave or if this is the front end of our wave. I see there's somebody trying to make a move, and I'm trying to go with it. So here's the push to try to reattach with the most forward rider, which I believe he is the second person in our wave, and one person got off solo ahead of him. Those two must have been together, and he dropped off and couldn't hold the pace. So here we are reattaching with the second place rider in our wave, and what I learned later, one rider got away. I didn't know any of this at the time, but still figured that there must have been some faster riders well ahead. So here we are, 10, almost 11 minutes into the race, and because of my poor lineup position and poor start, I'm just now getting towards the front of the race. And I realize we're about to drop in a single track, so I try to make up a couple positions. And this is actually the back of the first wave. You'll see as we move on over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 minutes, we start to pick up the stragglers of wave 1. Jumping ahead a little bit, this 3-man group, which I believe is the second, third, and fourth place in this wave, is that solo rider. At least one, possibly two, is up ahead of us. Didn't have any knowledge at the time and didn't discover that until after the race. Passing a few more of the riders from the back end of the wave 1 group. So fast forward about 10 minutes, we're 30 minutes into this race, just shy of a third of the way, and still the same. We've dropped the pack behind us and passed most of the stragglers of wave 1, and it's just us three for a while. But here I noticed the pace slowed a little bit. Didn't know what was going on, but I thought it was my time to move to the front. I realized the pace slowed because he's taking in some nutrition, and so I decided to go ahead and pull to the front here at some point. And I'm feeling really good at this part of the race. The pace has been steady, hard, but not too hard. And I feel like this is a good pace for the rest of the race.
Hey, left. Get it, man.
Get a little confused with that apparent road off to the right. Not sure if I'm supposed to go right or left. This course wasn't the best marked in some places, so I just allow him to go ahead and lead the way, and I just fall right in. So jumping ahead a little bit, still in the same positions. I'm sitting number 2 and coming up on one of those poorly marked. He slams on the brakes and I take the front position once again. There were a lot on these courses where you'd come in with a lot of speed and it would be a 90 or 180 degree turn all of a sudden. Feeling good here, decided to take the lead and just keep pressing on. Almost 40 minutes into this race, still feeling good, still feeling strong. Pace for this group is spot on, so hoping to keep the pace going.
This one's hard to see.
Jumping ahead a little bit, catching up to another rider from wave 1. All still going well. We're coming up on 41 minutes in this race, and I'm expecting to keep this pace strong and steady. And out of nowhere, I pick up a stick in the derailleur. I reach back, I try to rip it out. It doesn't happen. The guy behind me says big stick, so I have to stop, tear this off, and jump back on my bike. And for some reason, that stop just kind of took the wind out of my sails, and I press on and I try to reattach. I see at this point I'm kind of out by a tree, and I realize they're about 6 or 7 seconds ahead, and we're on a sandy 2-track. So I put in a little effort here. I'm not looking to do a big jump to catch on them immediately. I'm trying to put a steady effort to try to reattach with them. Jumping ahead about 4 minutes, and I finally get to the back of this group and try to reattach, and that took much longer than I expected. And I'm a bit spent from the efforts I tried to put through, and I'm just happy to be back on the front group. Catching the back end of another wave 1 rider, and I'm looking to just continue that steady pace that we've been doing the first 45 minutes. And just when I think that, a pass happens. Don't think much of it at the time, and I imagine that we're just going to pass this gentleman here and reattach and be a happy 1, 2, 3 like we were the first half of the race. He goes for a pass, and this rider, I'm not sure if he's newer, but he's pedaling and telling me to pass at the same time, which makes it very difficult with these narrow trails. I squeeze by here, and now I'm trying to reattach with the guy in the white who's sitting number 2, and the guy in the red and black sitting number 1. So number 2 is trying to chase number 1, and I'm number 3 trying to chase number 2. And what I think is just a 4 second gap, and I think I'm going to reattach immediately. I just struggle to do that. So jumping ahead about 10 minutes, the pass and the separation from the group happened around the 45-46 minute mark, and here I am 10 minutes later and still haven't reattached with the guy in white, and the guy in red is nowhere to be seen. When the course opens up, I get glimpses of him far in the distance, and I keep putting in efforts trying to reattach. Jumping ahead a few minutes, and this is one of these long stretches where I can see the guy in white is far out, but by now he's probably 10-15 seconds out. And it's becoming increasingly difficult to try to reattach with him. Jumping ahead about 15 minutes, and I see the guy in white again. And finally, after, let's see, what do we got? Almost 30 minutes of trying to chase this guy back, I finally reattached. And I just sit behind this guy and be happy that what I thought was going to be a few seconds, at most a few minutes to reattach to this guy has taken me 30 minutes. So jumping ahead about 5 minutes, not much has changed. Just happy to be back. And I think we're just gonna keep trucking along. And after chasing this guy down for 30 minutes, he says at this point he's out of horsepower and just lets us pass. So he must have been putting in a
But his
decent
whole
effort
course is like
over those
fresh
past
trails
30
they just
minutes,
dug yesterday.
and he's reaching the near end for his power and ability. So I just tuck behind this rider, and we keep trucking through what eventually becomes some fresh cut, and it's just brutal to ride through. It's like riding through grass, constantly bumpy, and we continue this pace. So would have liked to pass him at this point, but looking at the way this single track is, short of him actually stopping and pulling off to the side, there's just no way I was going to get by him. These trail conditions were pretty much horrible at this point, and so I'm just waiting for my opportunity to pass him, and this action happens to go on a little longer than I expected. Finally, the course opens up and gives me opportunity to pass, so I go ahead and take that. Realize there's 122, and I figured this course would take right around an hour and a half, hour 35 at the most, so I'm thinking I'm near the end. Jumping ahead about 10 minutes, and I'm a little surprised that we haven't reached the neighborhood yet, because I thought by now this race would be over, and we're coming up on hour 35, so I figured this would probably end closer to 140. Didn't realize it at the time, but this is the number one female in the race in the Elite Pro, and she is leading. I've been tucked behind her probably for the last 5 minutes or so, and just looking for my opportunity to pass.
Yep, cool. Hi. Okay, this is a 5-minute mark.
Really?
5 minutes left.
So, based
left,
on the
right?
video I watched in 2019, realizing we had to go back
Right.
the same way we came, maybe we had about 5 minutes left. She pops ahead because I wasn't sure which way we were going, left or right. The cone fell down, and I couldn't read the arrow, so lost a few seconds there. No big deal. Just keep motoring on. And nice downhill to an uphill, and get some speed going. Really trying to put in an effort, finish this race off strong, knowing that we can only be a few minutes away from the finish. Picking up some decent speed, and I still couldn't tell which direction we're going, so here I am, 25 miles an hour. I think I'm going straight. See at the last minute that I'm supposed to turn right. Try not to wipe out and crash, just barely save that. And so again, playing a little bit of catch up. Fast forward a few minutes, and here's another one of these fast downhills to a sharp right turn, and expecting the finish line to be anytime soon. But there's still a few difficult kickers here at the end. Coming up on the finish line here, and it was really odd. I would have benefited to pre-ride this course and certainly the finish line. Hard to tell from the video, but this was sandy, off camber. There were ruts. It was switchback and left and right. It was pretty odd. So at this point, I'm pretty exhausted. Try not to do anything stupid and crash in the last minutes of the race. Just saw myself to the finish. So coming up to the last turn of the race, and now I can see the finish line. Going through this mud puddle, I finish, which I believe is 3rd place in my wave and 11th overall for Expert Open.